Hey musical architects, if you ever recorded music or used a DAW, you probably understand the idea of quantization. But let's dig deeper and see what we can do with it to make it more musical. Let's check it out. Welcome back. Quantization is a great tool. Like any tool, it's corrective and it's creative. And you as a producer or writer have to decide how much you want to use it. It's important to understand the tool. How can we correct something perfectly if we want to? But then it's also important to know how to break the rule. How can we make it not so precise? Or how much precision do we want? Do we want some notes quantized, other ones not? Do we want to apply the same quantization to other parts? Or maybe even extract the feel of one part and apply it to another? I want to start very basic and then go deeper and deeper into it, that you have the whole palette ready for you to be used in your productions. Let's get started. So I have a little drum kit pulled up here. I can make a cycle. I set my tempo, check my click here, and I'm ready to just put down a couple notes here. Let's hit R. I have a 1 bar count in here, which you can set easily here. Get a little drum kit and hit R, record. Double click this part, this region, this MIDI region, and zoom in. I will see the precision or the lack thereof of what I played. For example, some of the notes are a little late, but no big deal. I can go in here, select all, Command A, and choose a quantization value. For that, I need to understand divisions. If I'm in a 4/4 beat, and my division setting is 16 notes right now, you see that by going to your display and changing it to custom, I can say, well, what's the fastest note I play? This is so basic, but I met many people who didn't understand this part. And without that part, quantization doesn't make sense. But if you ever ate a pizza or a pie and you cut it into pieces, you understand how this works. If I say, give me 4 pieces, then I have only the quarter note lines show up here. What did I play? I played faster than that. So if I go to 8 note, I even have faster notes than that. So a typical value might be 16th notes right here. And you see that I'm playing a little bit behind some of the 16 notes and a little early here. So I can fix this. I can say Command A inside the piano roll and choose this 16 note here as a value. And it pulled it right there to the next 16 note position. But I can also say, let me see what this sounds like. And maybe I feel it's a little too stiff now. So what could we do? Well, maybe I'm going to Command A, select all, and say, let me make it only 50% closer to the 16 note lines, or that's called strength, and it would split the difference. So my original position is this, 50% closer to the 16 note line would sound like this. Or I could say, give me all the kicks 100% on and make the snare a little less precise. So it sounds a little less predictable that way. I could also say delay every second or fourth 16 note. We call that swing. So if I go swing, it takes 1 E and A, those E and A, those second and fourth positions of each 16 note, and swings them, meaning delays them. And so swing is a very precise thing, not just a randomization or humanization of what we play, but just a delay on either the 16 note bass or the 8 note bass. I could also say, go to 8 notes and swing it like that. So if the 8 note is perfectly on, swing would delay those positions. And a full swing will be then triplet all the way. I'm going to undo this, back to the 16 note position we had. Logic also gives you these values, 16A being perfectly on, but if I go to B, you see them slightly getting more and more swung. Or I can go A and just nudge it towards that point a little bit. until it feels right. This is one way of quantization I use when I need to fix the insides, the details, the micro aspects of a beat. But once you have one, you might want to say, okay, this is pretty good. I want 16A with a little bit of swing. And I want this for my next part I'm going to play. I'm going to go Command D and duplicate this track, or click on this button here. And so I'm going to play a little hi-hat. And this time I want to quantize this ahead of time. I'm going to go 16A. And it's going to automatically quantize what I record. So now whatever I play it is already on the grid. Maybe add a little bit more here. So the beauty of this is that I can go in here precisely and select a single note and say this one needs to be swung more. You choose the micro aspects of this. In here I fix things that are inside the beat, details. But sometimes, say we're gonna have a bunch of parts. I want to quantize all of them at the same time. I could select all these guys and choose a more macro approach here. 16 notes. I'm going to reset this. I'm going to go say, give me a little 16 note with 54% swing. All right. So micro and macro. Micro inside the piano, macro out here in the region inspector. This part of inspector talks to whatever region I select. One or many. Okay, now let's say we want to add a piano part. I'm going to repeat this as well. I'm going to loop this and we're going to lay down chords. And that depends. Do I want it very precise or not? Let me just start with the same value, or I can take it off at first and then quantize it after. Totally up to you. Let's say we're going to record a couple chords here. Melodic and harmonic instruments are a little different than drum beats. We don't always want to have the notes being perfectly on, even in styles where drums are quite quantized. So let's take a look at these chords here. I'm going to zoom out with a Z. Let's see what choices we have. If I quantize this perfectly, that's quite all right. But maybe I want a little bit of freedom here on these notes. No quantization. Let's take this off here for a moment. This is where I played it and actually triggered a little too early here for MIDI to be picking up. So I'm going to move this back a bit so I can hear it. So we have choices. If I want this one on, I can quantize a single note or a whole chord by selecting it. So it's really nice that we have the flexibility. Again, I can say Command A, select all. This is where I originally played it without quantization, which is slightly off, but it gives it a little bit of life. But I want that first note to be on, for example. I can do so, quantize just that. You might wonder what the other quantize is here. Scale quantize does the same thing, but not on a vertical level, on a horizontal level, by saying force this into C major, for example. So if I have this chord progression and I want to hear this in C major instead, it will go to F major now. Quite different. So this is the same quantization idea, but on a horizontal level. What notes do you want to force the notes into in terms of scales? Okay, I'm going to open up a second part of the region parameter box here in the inspector. And we have some really cool things here. If I quantize this one more time, let's go a little bit more obvious here. 8 notes. There's something called flam. You know, from drummers hitting 2 notes slightly after each other. And it creates an interesting effect on a piano. Let's flam this a bit. And it creates a little arpeggio. That would be quite extreme, but you get the idea. I'm going to go a little flam. So you play with how precise you want it, because dead on is not always the best way in terms of emotion and sound. Maybe this one, I want a little less arpeggiated. Again, this is where the piano roll is perfect, because we can adjust things on a micro level, note by note, chord by chord. I didn't want to make this video too long, so I just covered the basics of quantizations by looking at MIDI. But any recording usually has audio as well, and we need to correct those parts as well. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how to not only correct audio parts, but how to extract the feel of audio parts and apply it back to MIDI and other parts. Thanks for watching, and I hope you got something out of this. Let me know. If you want to dig deeper, feel free to check out my Udemy course, where I start from the very beginning of writing a song to the end of production and take you step by step through the process. Thanks so much and have a great day. No matter what, stay unapologetically creative.